What if I told you that the reason you can't find someone to date today has nothing to do with your age and everything to do with the lie you've been telling yourself? Three-quarters of single people over 65 have completely stopped looking for love. Half of those aged 50 to 64 have given up entirely also. But what if the real problem isn't that you're too old? It's that you're playing by rules that no longer serve you. If you're one of the 37 million unmarried Americans over 50 wondering why dating feels harder than solving a Rubik's Cube blindfolded, this video is for you. I'm Rick Soetebier, and over the past decade of coaching midlife singles, I've seen the same patterns destroy people's confidence over and over again. Today, we're going to expose the real reasons why so many people our age have thrown in the towel, and I'll give you 3 practical shifts that can change everything. Let's start with some eye-opening numbers. Research shows that only 1/3 of singles over 50 are even trying to date anymore. For women, it's particularly stark. Just 27% are actually looking for love, compared with 43% of men. But here's what's really happening when people give up. 25% say they feel too old to date, but your brain didn't get that memo. Scientists have proven that when people in their 50s and 60s fall in love, the exact same neural pathways light up as they do in 20-year-olds. The capacity for deep romantic connection doesn't diminish with age. 18% cite past dating failures as their reason for quitting. They've been hurt, ghosted, or disappointed, so they've decided the juice isn't worth the squeeze. But this is like saying you'll never drive again because you got a flat tire. 17% believe nobody would want them. Men feel this especially hard, 26% compared to just 12% of women. But this isn't about reality. It's about the story you've accepted about your worth. While 61% of younger daters claim they're too busy, 38% of older singles use the same excuse. But let's be honest, you found time to binge watch 3 seasons of that show last month. We make time for what matters to us. Here's an interesting one. 87% of singles who've stopped dating say they're happy alone, and some genuinely are. But there's a difference between choosing solitude from a place of fulfillment and using independence as armor against vulnerability. Now, for those of you still in the game, let me share a tool I use with my coaching clients that prevents dating burnout and keeps you focused on what actually matters. It's called the must-have and deal-breaker framework, and it's your secret weapon against dating frustration. Here's how it works. You create 2 lists. At least 5 non-negotiable qualities you must have in a partner, and no more than 5 absolute deal breakers that are relationship killers. You always want more must-haves than deal breakers because you'll only find what you focus on most. Now, here's where most people over 50 get this completely wrong. They create lists based on who they think they should want, not who they actually need for happiness. Your 30-year-old self wanted someone with the right degree, income bracket, and social connections because you were building a life together. At 50 plus, you've already built your life. You're not looking for a co-founder for your life startup. You're looking for someone to share your success you've already created. This framework keeps you focused on the qualities that actually predict relationship satisfaction, emotional availability, shared values, genuine compatibility, and how they make you feel about yourself. Without this clarity, you'll waste months on people who look good on paper but leave you feeling empty. Or worse, you'll dismiss amazing connections because they don't check boxes that stopped mattering years ago. One of the mistakes I see people make, and I cover this in my guide on the biggest dating mistakes, is getting caught up in surface level compatibility instead of focusing on deeper connection indicators. Now, here are 3 practical shifts that will change everything. Shift number 1. Change your dating laboratory. Stop trying to meet people in the same ways you did at 25. Most midlife singles are still approaching dating like they're in college, relying solely on apps or waiting for lightning to strike in the grocery store. Here's what to do instead. Become a frequent flyer in communities where quality people our age naturally gather. Join hiking groups, book clubs, volunteer organizations, wine tastings, or hobby classes. The goal isn't to hunt for dates. It's to become a familiar, interesting presence in spaces where compatible people spend time. Here's your action step. Pick one new activity this week where you see the same people regularly. Consistency creates familiarity, and familiarity creates opportunity. Shift number 2. Screen smart to avoid future roadblocks. Here's where most people get screening completely backwards. They're either dismissing people for superficial reasons like height, or they ignore major compatibility factors that will cause problems down the road. Truth is, stronger bonds are formed when you have more in common. If you have drastically different political views, you're not just talking about policy. You're talking about fundamental values that affect how you see the world. That creates conversations that become off limits to avoid conflict, and off limits topics become relationship landmines. The same goes for core values around money, family, lifestyle, and life goals. The more similarities you share in these foundational areas, the fewer roadblocks will show up in your relationship later. Smart screening means identifying potential deal breakers early, not to be harsh, but to save both of you from investing time and emotions in something that's fundamentally incompatible. This prevents the relationship dysfunction and heartbreak that happens when major incompatibilities surface months or years later. Here's your action step. Use your must-have and deal-breaker framework to identify the core compatibility factors that actually matter for long-term success. Screen for these early and kindly move on when there are major mismatches. It's not about being picky, it's about being strategic. And shift number 3, master the art of progressive investment. This is huge. Most people over 50 move too fast because they're afraid of wasting time, or too slow because they're protecting themselves from disappointment. The sweet spot is progressive investment, gradually increasing your emotional and time investment as the other person proves they're worth it. Start with low-stakes interactions, coffee dates, afternoon walks, group activities. Let attraction and compatibility build naturally instead of forcing intensity or holding back completely. Here's your action step. On your next few dates, focus entirely on having a good conversation and enjoying the moment. Don't decide if this person is the one or completely wrong for you based on one interaction. Here's what nobody wants to tell you. The biggest barrier to finding love after 50 isn't your age, your appearance, or the dating pool. It's the stories you tell yourself about what's possible. When you say, "I'm too old," you're really saying, "I'm afraid of being rejected." When you say, "All the good ones are taken," you're really saying, "I'm afraid of not being good enough." When you say, "Dating's too hard," you're really saying, "I'm afraid of being vulnerable." But here's the flip side. You have advantages now that your younger self could only dream of. You know who you are. You've survived heartbreak and came out stronger. You have emotional wisdom, financial independence, and the confidence that comes from decades of life experience. You're not trying to impress someone's parents or prove you can provide a good life. You're offering something much more valuable, a fully formed, interesting person who knows how to love and be loved. Look, I've worked with hundreds of midlife singles over the past decade, and I can tell you this. The ones who find love aren't the youngest, the wealthiest, or the most conventionally attractive. They're the ones who have stopped making excuses and start making strategic moves. If you're ready to stop being part of the 75% who have given up and start being part of the success stories, I want to help you avoid making critical mistakes that keep people stuck. I've put together a free guide called The 5 Biggest Dating and Relationship Mistakes and How to Avoid Them. It reveals the specific errors that sabotage your chances at love, mistakes that have nothing to do with your age and everything to do with your approach. Hundreds of my coaching clients have used these insights to transform their dating lives. The link is in the description below. Here's my challenge to you. Stop waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect version of yourself, or the perfect person to magically appear. Every day you wait is another day you could be building a connection with someone who's been hoping to meet someone exactly like you. Your love story isn't over. It might just be getting to the most authentic, fulfilling chapter yet. Because when you know who you are and what you want, love doesn't just become possible again, it becomes inevitable. If this shifted your perspective, hit that like button and subscribe for more no-nonsense dating advice for midlife singles. And remember, the person you're meant to be with is out there wondering where you are. Stop hiding and start showing up. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.